Alright, howdy everyone. Just wanted to go ahead and get you a live radar update. Storms are starting to pick up across the area, and you'll notice that there are some green polygons out there. Those are flood advisories. What I really want to keep, just waiting for Facebook to connect here. But until we get that, you'll notice that we have a couple of flood advisories in effect. So take a look at just near San Jacinto, Polk County. And I just want to read you the exact verbiage that the National Weather Service is noting. Now, the reason why we're starting to see these populate is because these are extremely slow-moving storms. They're not really being driven by the front that we saw yesterday. That's why we're seeing activity really start to pick up across the area, essentially because these storms don't have anything that is pushing them out of the area. Sorry, just waiting for my socials to get loaded up here. In a little bit of trouble getting on Facebook. Let's see if I can get this to Alright, let's try this again. So, I wanted to go ahead and hop on a stream because we're starting to see some activity really spark up across the area, especially coverage-wise. It just is all draped across the eastern portion of the Brazos Valley. Now, the name of the game today is going to be likely accumulation rates, heavy rainfall. We are watching very, very slow storms move from the west, or the east rather, to the west, and they're doing that at a very slow pace. And that means that we're going to be watching accumulation very, very close today. Now, we started to spark up some activity very early this morning, which allowed for us to saturate the ground even more, and we're just continuing to add to that. Now, you'll notice that we have a couple of flood advisories in effect. I just want to get y'all the exact verbiage that the National Weather Service is saying. So, just read this to y'all. These are all flood advisories. See. Hello, everyone. Okay. So, flood advisory in effect until 4:30 p.m. this afternoon. Urban and small stream flooding caused by excessive rainfall are expected. This is including San Jacinto County. We move over closer to Montgomery County, over towards Conroe, starting to see some moderate light rainfall over there, which was pretty heavy earlier this morning. So I want to get y'all the verbiage on that as well. But essentially just watching for that heavy rainfall today. Now you'll notice when these storms do move overhead, they're going to be very electric thunderstorms. That's just because we are a moisture-rich environment, but we also have lots of heating on our side, which is essentially giving us that lightning, but also it's precipitating all of that moisture that we've gained over the past couple of days. So I'm going to read you so Montgomery, San Jacinto, Walker County, this is set to expire in about 3:15. This is the verbiage from the National Weather Service. Urban and small stream flooding caused by excessive rainfall. Doppler radar indicated heavy rain due to thunderstorms. This will cause urban and small stream flooding. Between 1 to 2 inches of rain have fallen already. And that was this morning, but an additional rainfall amounts of 1 to 3 inches are expected over the area. So this is going to make for a bit of a messy afternoon commute as well as kiddo pickup because, as I said, these storms are very, very slow moving, which is why accumulation is going to be watched closely today. If we look at what has already fallen today, I'll go ahead and bring that up for you. Put a pause on here. So again, most of that has stayed towards the southeast where we've seen the bulk of the activity, especially this morning, and it has just hung around all afternoon. So see, just north of Conroe along I-45, radar indicated 4.5 inches of rain. Move west of that, 2.8 out towards Navasota. See, 1.1. So these are very, very efficient rainmakers as they move overhead, and because they don't have anything really driving them, we've just got that stationary front that's hanging around, and as long as daytime heating is kicking off, the storms are just very sluggish in their movement. Now we're watching some pea-sized hail start to bubble up, and then it bubbles back down. I think that's going to be the name of the game over the next couple of hours or so. Could also encounter some gusty winds, but especially watching for that heavy rainfall. So we'll go and check in on hail. I'm not seeing any significant hail cores, and the hail scope shows us that. But let's take a closer look. Starting to pull in some rain here in BCS. Can definitely hear it over the station. Pulling in some rumbles of thunder as well. Lots of higher reflectivities. Some isolated development. Snook. Could see some rain. Hello, Monica. Hi, Charlie. Think Franklin area will get anything today? I think it's very well possible. Because I haven't really seen a super efficient breakdown of these storms. They're just, they have enough lift provided from that stationary boundary. So I think it's very well possible for Franklin to find some rain today. I don't know if it will be as impressive as what we're seeing towards our southeastern counties. That's just turning into some light to moderate rain over Huntsville. We've got a couple of pockets out towards Robertson County, just south of Centerville. Again, these storms are staying sub-severe, but can still get a little loud out there. Especially worried about the I-45 corridor. It is a messy look across that area. So pulling on the roads, low drainage areas, those are all possible within these storms. So again, taking your time, giving yourself plenty of space as you head out the door, especially if you're headed home from that afternoon commute or go to pick up the kiddos from school. That is something to take notice of. Could also encounter some visibility issues as well, just because this rain it's heavy, it's coming down hard. Want to walk you through future radar and what we can expect. I'm expecting most of this development to essentially end around 5-6 o'clock as we lose the heat of the day. You can see that here. Still some possible to find some isolated development past that. But I think this big cluster mess that we're seeing right now is going to continue to move off. So really going to just be keeping eyes on that. But sorry. Hi, Ashley. I don't think they will last all evening. I think that our evening plans should be good to go. I think a couple of splash and dash showers are definitely possible. But I don't think that they will be moving as slow as they are now. As soon as we lose daytime heating, we'll start to quiet things down. So no need to cancel any evening plans as of right now. But it is getting pretty hairy out there. Okay, Charlie said, hopefully not as bad as yesterday's storm. Had some pea-sized hail and had some damaging winds with slight rotation in the clouds. Yeah, definitely, Charlie. I think it's possible to find some pea-sized hail with today's storms just because we have all of the ingredients that we need. Got lift, moisture, heat. I'm not anticipating severe hail, but could find some small hail and some stronger storms. So that's something we're going to continue to keep close eyes on, especially because we were already seeing some evidence of that this morning. But the good news is that it was pop up really fast and then it would lose intensity. And that's kind of going to be the trend as these storms kind of pick up in intensity, bubble back down, and then rebuild into a new storm. But look, have some isolated development moving towards Brenham, Caldwell. It's coming down hard here at the station, especially across Bryan, College Station. Hello, Marie. Jimmy said, what about Somerville? I think you could definitely see some rain. Right now, it's quiet, but we have some cells to the south, and we've got this just big jumbled mess to the east. So I think it's very possible to get clipped by some rain. Art said much needed rain and cooler temperatures. Yeah, I stepped out the door this morning. It felt nice. So I'm sure it's gonna get even cooler than it is right now. We can check in on temperatures here in South College Station getting domed again. Yeah, so this is on Briarcrest, 75 degrees. Feels like 75. And it is just coming down hard. You can see that. And if you take a look at the roads, that's a big concern of mine to see pulling. So just drive very slow. Give yourself plenty of time. Visibility also going to be an issue. We'll start to quiet things down this evening, but until then, just watching for those accumulation rates and pooling on the roads, all of that stuff. I want to get a check-in with NWS. Been staying in close correspondence with them this afternoon. Let's see. So, no news from the NWS, just that flood advisory for San Jacinto County, but we also have one for Montgomery County as well. That's set to expire at 3:15. And then the latest one that I saw is San Jacinto County and Polk County, ending at 4:30. Danny said South College Station getting domed again. Yeah, it's looking like that. We'll see if that holds strong. We'll see. It is a big dome. But take a look towards Huntsville. That's starting to calm down. I want to get a look at rainfall rates and see what these storms are dropping. Again, very efficient rainmakers. There is just so much moisture. Let's see if I can get a pause on this, make it more clear for y'all. So just a lot of those reds are staying just outside San Jacinto County, but still some pretty significant rainfall rates. Let's get towards the red out here. Precipitation rate 2 inches per hour. Out towards BCS, 0.37 inches per hour. Closer north of Brenham, 0.85 inches per hour. So those of us who do find rain could find some good rain in the rain gauge today. And on top of this is what is being precipitated as of this moment, but if we take a look at what has already been dropped today, it's a pretty significant amount. That is why we're watching those flood advisories closely. Just because I think wherever those storms do move overhead, 1 to 3 additional inches are possible. So just north of Conroe, 4.5. This is radar indicated, so this is not observed. Oh, let's see. Okay. Yes, this is radar indicated, so it's not actually observed, but it is just a good indicator of a close amount that we could be finding. 1.2 inches near Huntsville. Let's see, go down. Aubin, 1.4. Cold Spring, 1.8. So very, very healthy downpours out there. Still have those flood advisories in effect. Let's see. But I'm not seeing any higher reflectivities or any reds, oranges over this specific flood advisory over Montgomery County and Walker County. So that is good news. That could potentially be settling things down, but just east of that, we've got some red just north of Cold Spring, Livingston, Warren, south of BCS. And check in on Bryan College Station. It is coming down hard. Snook's about to see some rain. Wellborn. So, yeah, this unfortunately it's going to be another messy afternoon. I can show you that here on Forecast Radar one more time. But I know if you're headed out for any evening plans, this is obviously a concern. But I think as soon as we get the sun to set, we'll start to quiet things down. Until then, it's just gonna be messy. Yeah, very, very isolated in nature once we cool things down. And then we'll just fill in with some cloud cover. Temperature-wise, see if I can get us a look at temperatures. I bet it feels kind of chilly. Is it too early to say that? Out there, we just didn't heat up very significantly today. So as soon as that rain cooled air moves overhead, 75 BCS, 73 Huntsville, 74 Conroe, 76 Cold Spring, Crockett 77. It's chilly. Out towards the west, it's a little bit warmer just because they haven't had the rain cooled air to help out. Feels like, yeah, same trend. Actually doesn't feel too bad out there. So let's take one more look at radar. I think my main concern for the afternoon and maybe early evening is, again, going to be the roads, but also just drainage areas that have seen rain over the past couple of days, and where saturated ground is, we could see some minor flooding more easily in those areas. We're starting to see some of these pulse back down just across South College Station. Some light rain over Milliken. Yeah. Sminta finding some heavy rain. Bryan, we look to be moving back into the lighter colors. Let's check in Centerville. Looks like this storm is staying south, but I think it's possible for Centerville to get clipped. But ultimately, it's gonna be very slow moving storms. Brenham finding some isolated development. A lot of the reds that I'm seeing are just outside the Brazos Valley. Could definitely see those pull into our southeastern counties. So again, going to keep very close eyes on that. Again, wherever these storms do move overhead, 1 to 3 inches is possible. Additional 1 to 3. We can look at that on rainfall forecast. So this doesn't look too bad. I think this may be undercutting a bit, but just shows you that we could find a pretty healthy downpour by the time we get to the end of today. So I'm going to stick with y'all for the next 10 minutes or so. But I will have another live radar update through the 4, 5, and 6. But I think we should have things starting to quiet down by then. If y'all want to join me on air. I'm starting to see some of these storms bubble back down. Oh, of course, John. Thank you for joining. Yes. So, flood advisory is still in effect, and that unfortunately is right smack dab over the I-45 corridor. So, going to be watching the roads. This area saw pretty heavy rainfall earlier this morning. In addition to that, I think it's possible for these storms to give us some good lightning. I'll put the lightning contour. It doesn't look as impressive as it did yesterday, but still 522 number of strikes per 30 minutes. So very rumbly storms as they move overhead. And the big flood advisory out towards Houston. The good news is what I'm seeing while I've been tracking these on live with y'all today, we're filling in with a lot of yellow and green. So that is an indicator to me that we're starting to settle things down. Now, I don't know if that's going to hold. I think it's possible that we continue to pull sub activity through the afternoon, but especially in this very saturated area over Montgomery, Walker, San Jacinto counties, starting to pulse down that red a little bit. Now there is still some isolated development south of Centerville. I think they could get clipped. But here for BCS, I can hear it outside, and it sounds like it's starting to calm down, and you can see that we're pulsing down those reds. Snook finding some light rain. I know Jimmy mentioned Somerville earlier. Still haven't found that. I think it's possible to find that over the next few hours or so. But yeah, I'm going to continue to keep updates. If I need to hop back on a stream, I will. But like I said, I'll be going live at 4, 5, and 6, and 10. But I don't think we'll find anything at 10. But for just another live radar update. So I think until we quiet things down this evening, watching for heavy rainfall. For those of us who find it. I don't know if everyone will find it, specifically towards our western counties. I think it might be a little bit more scarce just because these storms do look to be running out of steam as they make that journey across that area. But as long as we have that stationary front hanging around and heating, there's always a possibility to find some isolated development. Take a look at Live Eye once again. So, still raining, but it doesn't look as hard as it did a couple of minutes ago. 75 degrees. It's not feeling too bad out there. If only it wasn't raining and it was 75 degrees. That would be nice. So, yes, but as you can see, roads look slick, wet. Definitely possible to see some pooling on the roads, especially because it's just been a rainy couple of days. And the ground's saturated. It's been a rainy summer, in fact. Temperatures across the rest of the Brazos Valley, a bit warmer out towards the west. But real cool for the rest of us. 84 Belleville, 80 Brenham. Lisa said, what about Rock Prairie and Wellborn? I can check in on that for you. When I looked earlier, I think we'll start to... might be a big dome around you, Lisa, but I think it's possible to still find some light rain, for sure. Light to moderate rain. Can see that here. Still have some backfill moving in, so I think it's possible to get clipped by some of that. But I think a lot of those, the bulk of the activity is starting to peel off. Hello, Monica. Thank y'all so much for joining. Probably stick with y'all for the next 5-7 minutes, and then I'll hop off. But just keep the KBTX source weather up close by today, as well as, you can always hop on air with us as well for more live radar updates. But just checking on these isolated storms. These were quick over the station. It started raining about maybe about 30 minutes ago, and those have started to peel out west. So just filling in with lots of light rain. But before I go, I want to take a look at just the rainfall amounts. We've been checking in with this a couple of times throughout the stream. Lots of blues and even some purples. So let's see. Yeah, just south of Cold Spring, 5.2. This is radar indicated, so this is not observed. But why I show you this is just because these storms are very, very efficient rainmakers. There's so much moisture in our atmosphere that they're essentially just precipitating it out once they get up and going. And especially because they're just slow, sluggish storms that they are just able to sit over one specific area, which is why we saw those flood advisories get put into effect. Check in with the NWS. haven't seen anything. Let's see. Yeah, no new updates from the NWS. So it looks like for now, we'll keep those flood advisories in effect for San Jacinto, Polk County. That one expires at 4:30, and then Walker, Montgomery, and the western portions of San Jacinto are in effect until 3:15. And I suspect they let that expire because, as we saw on radar, it's slowing down, especially specifically over that area. Just along the I-45 corridor, 3.1. Kim says it's thundering in Somerville. Yeah. These are little rumbly storms. We can check in on radar one more time. Yeah, so it looks like y'all have got a chunky cell just south of Somerville. We can add on some lightning. Let's see. Yeah. So, we got some electric thunderstorms out there. I'm going to get pretty rumbly outside, but I think these are going to be all bark, no bite. I'm not suspecting any super big hail. I think it's possible to find some pea-sized hail through the afternoon, gusty winds, but Maine is going to be that heavy rain. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of fizzling out, especially over the storms over BCS. We've just, throughout this stream, we've watched red go to green, go to yellow. So starting to see some weakening, specifically with these active storms that are going on right now. A lot of the reds, we can make this a little clearer if we take off the lightning. This is staying east. I think it could pull into our southeastern counties. But this is outside of the Brazos Valley. Yeah. Check in on this isolated development towards Centerville. So I think overall starting to see some weakening. That's a good sign to me. And they may have just pulled both of those flooded. Oh no. Okay. Flood advisory is still in effect. So, flood advisory is still in effect for San Jacinto, Walker, Montgomery counties. San Jacinto will have one till 4:30, Walker, and Montgomery till 3:15. But starting to see some overall weakening. That is a good sign. Until we get there, through the afternoon, it's going to be a little grumbly if you find a stronger storm out there. I'm not suspecting we find anything severe, but all of the things associated with stronger storms, gusty winds, heavy rainfall, pulling on the roads, frequent lightning, all of those are possible. So make sure to stay weather aware out there. Keep the KBTX Verso weather app close by. Continue to keep you notified. For another live radar update, I'll be joining y'all on air on the airwaves, 4, 5, and 6, and 10. But I think if you have any Friday evening plans, I don't think you need to cancel them. I think you should be all good to go. And I'll just walk you through Forecast Radar one more time before I head off the stream. But thank y'all so much for joining me this afternoon. And I hope that I lost my train of thought. I just hope that the afternoon and evening are good. So, yeah. As soon as we lose the heat of the day, possible to find some isolated storms. We really fizzle that out. So here's around 7 o'clock. So I think evening plans, weather approved. We just need to get through the heat of the day. We'll start to settle things down. But as always, just stay weather aware, drive with extra care if you head out the door for the afternoon commute, picking up the kiddos, all of those things. Yeah. Watching for that heavy rainfall. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Joe. Thank y'all for joining me this afternoon. And I will potentially see y'all back at 4, 5, or 6, or 10. So thank y'all so much.